And we're kicking off today with WWE Fastlane, and US Champion Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar entered the show without a third man for their match against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, and for a while, it looked like this would be a handicap match. For 3/4 of the match, the LWO allies were on the defensive against the United Front, trying to prove themselves as unstoppable, but then it happened. After cameoing at Backlash, Carlito returned to WWE to a thunderous ovation and dropped Montez Ford with a backstabber to score the victory. The execution of the surprise was nicely done, as rather than reveal him at the start, there was a sense of intrigue and mystery throughout the match. The late match arrival, the surprise of the crowd, and the energy it brought to the match were well done and made Carlito look like an even bigger deal. Now it'll be interesting to see what effect Carlito has on the LWO moving forward and whether his arrival fractures the relationship between Mysterio and Escobar. It's been recently teased that there may be issues between the two men, and Carlito could easily end up exasperating these issues. What we do know is that Carlito is in the best shape of his life and now has the chance to rewrite his legacy as part of WWE. With that said, there was one change fans won't like, as Carlito now has a new theme song, replacing the iconic theme that he had used from his first days with WWE. Even though fans recognized Carlito when he appeared at Fastlane, this new theme slightly took away from the moment, and there is no reason known as of now as to why his theme song was changed. It also appears that he no longer has an apple he spits in the face of those who don't want to be cool, in another change from what fans would expect from Mr. Cool. Carlito will likely be on SmackDown going forward and part of the LWO, so expect to see plenty of the superstar going forward. Even before Fastlane begun, fans were treated to a major appearance on the kickoff show, as Jade Cargill made her WWE debut as part of the festivities. After the official announcement of her signing last week, Cargill arrived to Fastlane in a white SUV, exiting the vehicle to greet Triple H as the cameras looked on. Cargill has been treated as a massive name since signing with WWE, and if Fastlane is any indicator, expect more red carpet treatment for the former AEW TBS champion. Prior to the women's triple threat, champion Io Sky requested that Bayley stay backstage, an idea that the role model and de facto Damage Control leader was quick to scoff at. But sure enough, Bayley would involve herself during the match, but unlike recent instances, Bayley's interferences paid dividends for the champion, with Bayley providing a distraction that took the referee's attention away from Asuka tapping out to the figure 8, and Sky would hit a picture-perfect moonsault on Flair to get the win. The match was good, which is no surprise considering the talent of those involved, though as the match went on, the action did become somewhat disjointed along the way. Luckily, the combatants, as well as Bayley, recovered and executed the finish to perfection, and this match likely revealed what's next for Io Sky. The argument will be that Flair tapped out Asuka and that she'd be the champion today if the ref wasn't distracted by Bayley, perhaps setting up a singles feud between the Queen and Sky. Sky will also likely question Bayley's interference when she specifically requested she didn't, even if it helped the champion retain her title. Between this story and the Flair-Sky program, it'll be interesting to see how WWE handles and intertwines these two stories. As for Asuka, well, she tapped out, so expect her to fall out of the title picture, and the Empress can focus on her battle with Roxanne Perez on the upcoming NXT. In the co-main event of the show, LA Knight and John Cena bested the might of the Bloodline, and you couldn't have laid out a better match for WWE's megastar. Even before the match began, the crowd were pumped, thanks in part to the return of Pat McAfee, who appeared on commentary alongside Michael Cole and Corey Graves. McAfee had been a part of ESPN College Game Day, calling the Oklahoma vs. Texas game earlier in the day, but still made it back to Indianapolis for Fastlane and showed no sign of being exhausted. Cena took the majority of the heat, selling for the heels before making a hot tag to Knight that popped the crowd and led to a fantastic closing sequence for the bout. Laying out the match with Cena as the babyface in peril and setting up Knight for the hot tag was the right idea, and in stark contrast to the LOL Cena wins booking many fans took issue with during his heyday. While Cena has been getting his stuff in as of late, it was Knight who delivered BFT to get the win in Knight's biggest test to date, one he passed with flying colors. In the biggest match of his WWE run, Knight lived up to the moment and proved to be as fired up as the fans in Indianapolis. This win and the crowd's reaction to it will be evidence that his advocates will point to as evidence he can handle being a top babyface and the various pressures that come with that role. So what's next? Based on what we've seen leading into Fastlane, his win over Jimmy Uso, and his backstage confrontation with Paul Heyman, it seems the answer is obvious: Roman Reigns. A shot at the undisputed WWE Universal Champion seems the clear direction, and whether that takes place in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel or in Chicago at Survivor Series is the question. World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins settled his issues with Shinsuke Nakamura in the Fastlane main event, defeating the artist in Seth's first Last Man Standing match. The bout spilled through the arena and culminated with Rollins hitting a Falcon Arrow through a table to get the victory. Rollins fought through the surging pain in his injured back, an injury highlighted repeatedly on commentary, leading to Michael Cole dubbing him the Workman's Champion. Rollins took a big bump on the exposed floor, and selling this spot was no issue, as there's no chance that he didn't hurt what is a very real back injury. The match also saw Rollins driven through a table by Nakamura with double knees, and moments later, Nakamura would use a trick from his idol, the Great Muta, spraying mist in the champ's eyes and sending him through the announce table. This should mark the end of this feud, as Rollins has absorbed everything Nakamura has given him and has beaten him twice now at premium live events. A third PLE match would make little sense given these results, and asking fans to buy into Nakamura again would be a tall order considering these results. We also have to give props to the well-executed finish, as opposed to some last man standing matches that are often convoluted, as there was no double countout or duct tape in sight this time. As for who's next for Rollins, look no further than Intercontinental Champion Gunther, or someone like the monstrous Bronson Reed as Seth's next adversary. That is, as long as there are no plans to run back a feud with Judgement Day until Damian Priest is ready to cash in, which was addressed in a backstage segment during Fastlane. Seth Rollins may have been over with fans in the past, but not at the level of the most popular guys, but that is no longer the case, as Rollins is now just as over as the likes of LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, and John Cena. We mentioned earlier that Jade Cargill was on the show, but Declan McMahon of the Indiana Hoosiers football team was at the show as well. As you may have guessed by the last name, Declan is part of wrestling's most influential lineage, as the son of Shane and grandson of Vince had a great time at Fastlane. At Fastlane, JD McDonough once again tried to prove himself to the Judgement Day, and while the Irish Ace has done just that several times in the past, this time was different. In the closing moments of the Undisputed Tag Title match, McDonough inadvertently blasted the injured left knee of Damian Priest, allowing Cody Rhodes to hit Crossroads on the announce table. A hot tag to Cody was electric, and the fans were right there for every moment, setting the tone for the rest of the show. Rhodes would then join Jay in dropping Finn Bálor with the 1D to win the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship and end what was a red-hot title match. It will always be wild to hear Michael Cole reference non-WWE matters, and to hear Cole name-drop the Bullet Club, a group Bálor and Rhodes were once part of, was very cool. Uso and Rhodes were able to put their past differences aside and accomplish their goal of dethroning Bálor and Priest in a match filled with strong in-ring action. There was also a fun spot where Rhea Ripley continued to flirt with Jey Uso, but the Eradicator's wiles weren't enough to stop Jay and Rhodes getting the win. If we did have an issue with the match, it's that it had a runtime that stretched some of the spots thinner than necessary, but it was otherwise a perfect start to the show. More importantly, it'll give a reason for tensions in the Judgement Day to grow, as Bálor will likely defend McDonough at the expense of Damian Priest. Ripley's reaction at ringside was clear to see, and she took to Twitter to make it clear she's livid about the result and expect tensions to grow on Monday Night Raw. Fastlane did not have a lot of buzz surrounding it, but it exceeded expectations, delivering a quality night of professional wrestling that may have peaked with LA Knight's momentous victory. It also featured great stuff from Seth Rollins, the SmackDown Women's Division, the returning Carlito, and the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship match. The smaller card allowed for more time for each match, and despite the lengthier contests, the crowd remained red-hot throughout, proving their investment in the competitors and stories involved. So, what did you think about Fastlane 2023? What was your match of the night? Sound off in the comments below.